friends, I am going to give a little bit of a dog update and a reading update. So let's start with the reading. I have read a number of books in March, mainly for the BookTube Prize mainly for the BookTube Prize. So I read The Land in Winter by Andrew Miller, and that was for the BookTube Prize. I listened to the audio. Can't tell you my thoughts about it yet until this round ends at the end of the month. Then I can tell you what I thought of it. Copeability by Bruce Halsinger is another BookTube Prize book that, again, can't tell you about, but I will at the end of the month. I read Schooled by Jamie Sumner. This is for middle grade March. One of the prompts was to read a book with books on the cover, so we've got some books on the cover. I ended up listening to the audio book for this. I had gotten the additional audio book credits on Spotify this month because of the BookTube Prize. And I ended up with some extra hours, which doesn't usually happen. So I read this via audio, which was good because I haven't been doing a lot of physical reading. Jamie Sumner, as I've mentioned many times, is one of my favorite middle grade authors. She just really she writes hard stuff really well. And I kind of took notice of her writing first and how she handles kids with disabilities. And this isn't so much about disability. It's more about grief and a child's grief and trying to fit in, trying to figure out how to move on in life when one of the most important people in your life is gone. And Lenny is our main character, and he's lost his mom, and he's trying to figure out how to navigate a new school. His dad has kind of moved them away from everything that he knew, kind of just seems like to start over. And you kind of see a little glimpse of Lenny sort of understanding that his dad's grieving too. This was his wife who passed away, and just their, everything about their life and changed. And they had reminders of her in everything that they had in their house. So it's kind of the two sides of grief, but it's really all from Lenny's perspective and kind of how an 11-year-old, 12-year-old kid can gain insight into an adult's grief process, and how it impacts their relationship. Lenny and his dad move on campus to a college. His dad's a Latin professor, I think. And several of the faculty, they have created this school for their kids, their middle school age kids, in the basement of one of the buildings. And it's really confusing in the beginning part, like, why are they doing this? Why are they not in regular school? But the kids are questioning that too. They're like, why are we doing this? And so I think that is an interesting part of the novel that I wasn't expecting. I love the characters in this. There is an older faculty member that Lenny bonds with, and love him as well. So yeah, just another great read by Jamie Sumner. Oh, I should say, this one I can tell you what I rated it. Guess what? I rated it 5 stars. I mean, it's Jamie Sumner. The next one I read was Flesh by David Zalé. I'm not sure about that last name. This won the Booker Prize in 2025. And it's on my list for the BookTube Prize books that I need to read. So I will give a full review of this at the end of the month. I promise. All right, so those are the ones that I've read. I take that back. I was able to get Good Material by Dolly Alderton read. I listened to it on audiobook, mainly on walks. It was a good audiobook for walks. And it's my goal to read at least one book of the month book every month to try and get through my backlog of book of the month books. I don't have a subscription anymore, so I'm not adding to it. Yeah. I've read Dolly Alderton before. I read Ghosts by her. And I just love Dolly Alderton. She does banter really well. This is actually told from a male perspective. What's his name? Andy. Andy and Jen have broken up, and we find Andy trying to come to terms with that. And he is 35. He is kind of floundering in his career. Doesn't have really anywhere to live. He moves back in with his mom for a little bit. And just kind of look at the relationship through Andy's eyes. And it was pretty funny. I did also appreciate that we also get bits of perspective from his ex, Jen. And I just really loved this couple and the characters individually, and also the relationship that they describe that they had is something that, you know, even in my 40s, I'm still hoping one day I will find that relationship. And yeah, totally recommend this. It was good for my walks. It kept me entertained, which not having Mabel to walk with me, you know, I needed some distraction, and this did it for me. Oh, yeah. 5 stars. Did I need to say that? Okay, so that's what I've read so far this month, and honestly, it's pretty good because a couple of the BookTube Prize books, I'm just going to say, could have put me in a reading slump, and they didn't. Good Material was the last book that I read or finished, and that was good. That was really helpful. I am currently reading my last book for the BookTube Prize. That's People Like Us by Jason Mott. I started this on audio, and I think I need to read it in physical copy. I'm just getting a little confused on the kind of transitions from the chapters. So I will set some time aside to physically read this and maybe get the audio towards the end. I don't know. My whole came in from my library, which is awesome. And it came in just as I finished Good Material. So we'll see which way I end up reading this. It might be both. In addition to Middle Grade March, I'm also doing the Irish Readathon, and I am reading Thin Places, A Natural History of Healing and Home by Carrie Nee Docherty. I have had this for a number of years, and the cover is beautiful. I started listening to this on audiobook, and this was another one that I just couldn't follow. It's very literary in, you know, just describing the natural the natural landscape of where Carrie is when the book opens, and we're looking at the Troubles. She grew up during the Troubles in the area where it started. And she's also the daughter of a Catholic. I think her mom's Catholic and her dad is Protestant, and that was the big divide during the Troubles. And so she's kind of giving some history about that as it relates to where she lives. She has just moved back to her hometown and dealing with some health issues. So far, I'm really interested in it. It's hard because I am in my audiobook era. So I would like to listen to audiobooks, and I'm just having a harder time following these. So these two have to be read physically, and I'm just going to have to make time to do that. My current audiobook is a middle grade book, and it is Each Little Bird That Sings by Deborah Wiles. I have not gotten very far into it yet, but it is about Comfort Snowburger, and she grew up in a funeral home, and that's kind of all I've gotten so far. I haven't really gotten any further into it, but I'm excited to read it. Finally, this has been on my shelves for a while. I know we're gonna deal with grief, and talk about some of her losses that she's had of family members. So that's what I'm currently reading and what I've read. The dog update is, so I do have my new dog, Rocket. Say hi, Rocket. Say hi. This is Rocket. He's still, we're getting to know each other, which takes time. And I just thought I would tell you a quick story about how I met Rocket. I can't remember if I told you in the last video. I went to I had been going to the shelters, and since Mabel died, it was just weird not having a dog. And my cat, Hopper, who you see a lot of, he is 15. He has survived cancer and other things. He has always had other animals around him. I've had him since he was 4 months old, and when I got him, I was involved in animal rescue. And it just felt really weird. And so I went to the animal shelters a couple times. There are 2 shelters that are kind of the Metro Atlanta area shelters. My friend runs one of them, and it's mostly bigger dogs, medium to large dogs, which Mabel was. I got Mabel from the shelter that my friend runs, and Mabel was 50 pounds. I wasn't sure if I wanted another big dog. I've always had beagles, and I've had a Chihuahua before. I grew up with big dogs, and so I was kind of just, I don't know, just looking at all dogs, really. So I ended up I was on Adopt a Pet a lot. And I saw that there was a beagle. There were actually a couple beagles at a shelter that was about an hour out of the city. And I decided to go there one day, and one beagle had been reclaimed already. I went, saw a number of dogs, and the beagle, really cute, really sweet, very young. And there was a dog next to the beagle that no one was really asking about. It was an older dog, overweight dog, just a brown mix of a Chihuahua. And I did get him out and play with him, and he went out into the play yard and went to the bathroom right away, which I know from all the shelter visits I've ever done kind of gives you an indication that they might be housebroken already, which is awesome. You can't count on that, taking a dog from a shelter. You have no idea. But that was a good sign. And he was super cute and not playful necessarily, but he was happy to be outside, and you could tell that he had familiarity with the kennel staff that had brought him out for me, and he could be held easily, very just a fun little dog, and the shelter staff spoke very highly of him. He had been there for about 6 weeks, I think, and he was also reported to be heartworm positive. And I had stuff to do that weekend and ended up, the Beagle's stray hold was not up until Monday, so he wouldn't be available for adoption until Monday. Over the weekend, I stalked their site and saw that the Beagle was reclaimed over the weekend, but I couldn't get this little brown dog out of my mind, and ended up going Monday and adopting him, and that is Rocket. He was called Rocky at the shelter, and he seemed to know that because he had been there for a minute, and that is Rocket. He has fit in so smoothly. He is housebroken. I think he had one accident in the house, and that was totally my fault. He's done really well with Hopper. He is an older dog, but he does love to go for walks. And the best part of everything is that we went to start doing the planning for his heartworm treatment, which is a pretty intense treatment. I'll link my blog below. I've talked about it before. It can be really harsh, and I lost a foster dog probably about 10 years ago to heartworm treatment because it's just so dangerous, but has to be done. So we went to the vet that treated Mabel, and they did the diagnostic testing, which is first off to confirm, do another what they call a snap test to confirm that they have heartworms. And they called me and said, "Who told you he has heartworms?" And I said, "The shelter did." Their snap test at the vet was negative. They also can look at the blood sample to see if there are any baby heartworms. There were not. So we ended up sending the blood sample out to the lab, and he's heartworm negative. He doesn't have heartworms, which it's no shade on the vet or on the shelter, because the snap tests are very finicky, is what I learned over the years. But it's rare in the South, from my experience in rescue, to have a dog that was positive then be negative once you retest them. Typically, it's the other way around. They're negative at the shelter and then positive when you get them out. You can Google that. It's all about the life cycle of the heartworm and when it can show up on the test. All that to say, Rocket is doing great. He doesn't have to do the heartworm treatment, which is awesome. He does have some old man issues. He has arthritis in his shoulders and elbows. He has what they call a collapsing trachea, which is why he coughs. There's really not much you can do for that except walk them on a harness instead of anything that pulls on their neck or throat, which I already do. And he might have early heart disease, which is kind of a thing for small dogs. My Chihuahua that I had for 12 years, he died of congestive heart failure. It just happens with the smaller dogs. I don't know why, but it does. But overall, we're doing really well, kind of acclimating to the schedule. And you'll be seeing Rocket a lot, hopefully. He is very nervous about the camera. So I don't know how often he'll be on camera, but I do take B-roll when we go for walks. So definitely check back in on some vlogs. I think that's it for me. I hope you're doing well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know in the comments what you're reading, what you've read so far for March, how you're doing. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you very soon. Bye.